So hi and welcome back to Dragonborn Industries. I'm Ian the Dragonborn Bard and I'm joined by Yew Wots, who are a local prop makers, weapon makers for Larp and costume designers and makers. And I met you guys a couple of times through events and through you guys messaging me about a family member who was making dice and working with resin, and we've kind of got to know each other a little bit over the kind of past couple of months to a year, I guess, as we're coming up on the next events that I think we were first originally at together. And we're back, for the WASSON Cornwall series, and we're here to chat to Ian and Sam from Yew Wots. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, doing well.
Time flies and it's weird, like that question's such an odd one, 'cause it's just like, I think we're fine.
I think we're fine, just
pretty much.
Gearing up for LARP season, aren't we?
Oh, so I don't know that much about LARP, and for me LARP is something that is, I've always kind of like seen it in my periphery and never quite taken part in it, but as a D&D player and as a tabletop player, it's always something that's been around that kind of purview.
Yeah.
So I guess, is LARP season kind of like spring through summer, or is that like
to autumn? Yeah, they pretty much shut down over like the entire of winter.
I suppose if it's cold and wet, you don't really want to get your gear all ruined. And
yeah. There's some that are a bit more hardcore. I'd like to include myself in that.
So you actually LARP as well then?
Yeah.
And mate, is that where Yew Wots kind of started then?
Pretty much, yeah. It started, I think the first time I LARPed I was like 17, so it was 97.
Oh wow.
And yeah, a long time ago.
So have you done it consistently every year since then?
No, I took quite a break because we were doing some local ones and I couldn't drive at the time, and I worked at the co-op and I was on £2 an hour.
Yep.
So I could never afford anything. So it's like, right, how's it made? I'll just make it myself. And this is like pre-internet. So you had to you'd buy a weapon and then, right, it's nearly dead, let's cut it up, see how they've done it.
See, that's pretty cool.
And sort of do it yourself because you couldn't afford to buy another one.
See, that's very cool to me, because I love the idea that you've found a creative art and you've gone, I'm really into this and this is my hobby, and now I would like to further that hobby and be able to carry on doing it. So I've gone and literally learnt the art form to create these things. And for anybody who's watching, if you haven't checked out Yew Wots, I will make sure that links to websites and to social medias go into the description below, so you can go and have a look at the amazing costumes and props and weapons that Ian makes. They are absolutely incredible, and I think my kids were enamoured by them when they saw them at all the events. They were just like, whoa! And I was just like, put them down before you break them. But they're actually really hard wearing, and you guys are like, no, it's
Yeah. They're designed to hit each other with.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, I was just like, most of my art form, and I know that I work with resin where I throw it across a table and it doesn't scratch, but I was just like, oh my god, these props, what if they break?
Don't break them,
and actually, you guys make these really sturdy, really incredibly lightweight props. They're absolutely stunning.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're going to get the cosplay stuff, which is not brittle, but it's not designed to be used.
It's not designed to be thwacked against each other.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, the stuff that the cosplayers do is phenomenal, absolutely gorgeous, really lovely. But then you kind of got to take to the next level where it'll last being hit against metal or wood or stepped on. Because in especially in Cornwall, you're in a muddy field and it's, let's be honest, midsummer, it's still raining. It's always raining.
Yeah, Cornwall is
you're
very
going to drop stuff, you're going to fall over.
Yeah. So you were 17, you're working in co-op, and you go, I'm going to start making weapons. What was the first thing you made?
No, me and a friend of mine, our first ones, we made, I don't recommend this.
A gun! A working gun!
No, it was worse than that. It was bamboo with furniture foam around it.
Right.
And wrapped really tight with sellotape.
So it's quite hard.
It was a terrible idea.
It wouldn't be considered LARP safe by today's standards.
No. You wouldn't be allowed to use it, but that's the first thing we ever made, and we just beat the hell out of each other. And I think it came out like bloodied and bruised.
Wow.
Again, this was pre-internet, so you couldn't just look up a tutorial.
Yeah.
And being like a stupid kid, you're like, well, all foam's the same, and there's no one to tell me otherwise.
Yeah.
And we've got furniture, we'll just wrap it, it'll be fine. And it wasn't.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think the folly of youth and like that eagerness to do something can lead us to stupid mistakes. But then also that's part of the learning curve. And I think for anybody who might in time be watching this or be interested in LARP, especially down here in Cornwall, and I want to talk to you in a bit about how people can get into LARP down here, where they can find you guys, where they can find LARP. But they will also probably be in the process of making their own weapons and going, well, I've got this upholstery foam and I've got this duct tape, and they will probably be in the same boat. Everybody is always in the same place when you start an art form. And I find that for people like yourselves who have then carried this on for so many years, and you've like really gone into the fact that you mentioned about LARP safety and it being suitable and usable, when did that come into effect for you, and what are those rules?
I think I came in, the first big event we went to it's called The Gathering, and it's like 3,000 or 4,000 people.
Wow.
You have an entire weekend, and at the end you have a battle, and it's insane. But they do really stringent weapons checks. They'll check to make sure the core isn't coming through the end of the weapon, that you can't feel it through, so you've got to have an amount of foam right the way around the core.
Yeah.
And well, one of the big ones is Empire, so I follow their rules on what is safe to use, because I kind of figured as long as I follow the main LARP, then people will be able to use it there. And
so is Empire LARP sort of like the... No, I wouldn't say monopoly, but it's like the bigger ones within the UK.
One of the big ones in the UK,
yeah. And so do they have like a rule set with their website that we can link below that we're like, right, so these are like the LARP rules that you follow, and these are like the regulations that people would need to if they're going to make their own weapons, or the ones that you basically follow doing Yew Wots.
Yeah. They're really, really in depth on what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Oh, that's good then.
So it's
very like defined guidelines. Like right, okay, we know that this is safe, therefore we can.
Well, most weapons aren't stab safe. They're LARP safe, but there's a difference between LARP safe and stab safe.
No, if it's got a core in there and you're jabbing it into someone, that's even if it's covered, it's
Yeah, so you can make stab safe, what they consider stab safe weapons, but that's like another level. Level again.
Involve like collapsible heads and reinforced. I use leather, like thick leather, because the core will never go through that. And you have to like a distance where it will fully collapse, and
that's pretty cool.
It's a bit more complicated. I wouldn't recommend it for any first time sort of making LARP weapons.
Well, that's why they can come to you, and they can be like, "Oh, I want a collapsible weapon." So I assume collapsibles are the one you do collapsibles as well, then.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really cool. The idea that's like that whole
spears mainly.
Oh, really?
Spears and halberds and stuff.
That's very cool. Very cool. I like that a lot. So in terms of Cornish LARPs, obviously this is the WASSON Cornwall series. How many LARP groups are around? How can people get into LARP? And tell us about essentially how they can find you and find LARP in Cornwall.
I think there's actually only one LARP in Cornwall, which is Chaos Gate. Which they run between like 3 and 5 events a year at Tahiti.
Oh wow, that's really close.
Yeah,
that's very close.
Right around
I think I can throw a rock from here.
Yeah,
that's it. Their next event's this Saturday actually.
Really?
They've got a day event for adults.
Oh, amazing.
So you can come along and try it.
That's all. So that's Chaos Gate. Do you have links to that through your website, or is that is it more of like an online application thing? How do you approach Chaos Gate? How do you then get into it?
Basically, just look it up on Facebook.
So Facebook group is probably going to be the best.
They've got a website. But the Facebook groups, the main one to be on to see what's going on.
It's more responsive on the Facebook group at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, we haven't at the moment, but we are intending on our website to have links to sort of the LARPs that are coming up, and
because I think that's what I kind of wanted to jump to next was your website, because. Again, for those who are watching this, you're just watching us talk, and we don't really have the space to lay out tons of weapons in front of you, but the stuff that you do, it ranges from small daggers right the way through to like great swords, massive staffs and staves, spears, halberds. It's absolutely crazy. And if you go to places like Game on Cornwall and Penzance, where you guys end up with like your full entourage of stuff out, and you can see it. And you're just like, I've walked into an armory. It's absolutely incredible. But you can see it all on the website.
Yes.
Which what is the website?
It's yewwots.com.
Perfect. Again, we will link that into a description below because, again, we want to make it as easy as possible for you out there to find these guys and to be able to, if you're looking at getting into LARP, be able to grab some weapons, grab some gear, and be able to take part straight away, find that Facebook group and get smashing each other with some weaponry, really.
Absolutely. Obviously, and we've got a commissions page.
Oh, awesome.
Like a gallery of all the stuff we've done in the past. So
you do commissions as well then?
Yeah. If there's not something on the website that you want, or you want it changed a little bit, it's all sort of made to order.
See, now that's something that I really love, especially with art as well, because I think a lot of people get really, really into character creation. Yeah. And I assume LARP would be the same as D&D and tabletop.
Yes.
It is a step further because you're making the costume.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. So instead of like, having a mini or, describing your character, this is you are becoming.
You become the character. We've had people reach out that do D&D and they're like, I play dwarf. I want the hammer or the axe or whatever it is, and we've made it for people. They don't LARP, but they just want their character's weapon, and then obviously you bring it to life. So LARP is essentially your D&D character. Bring it to life. Be your D&D character.
Which I think that blows my mind in so many different ways that I'm just like, that's so incredible. And I'm so out of shape that I'm sure I'll be huffing and puffing my way through a muddy field. Everybody is. Yeah. But I love the idea that you give people the ability to bring their characters to life through things like commissions, and somebody else say like, I don't have the skills to start this, or I don't have the time to go and make the weapon myself or the costume myself. Could we commission you to do it? And the fact that you do that, I think, is absolutely incredible.
I think that's where we started, because Ian makes the weapons and stuff. We'd be at events and people are, I really like sword, where did you get it? And he's like, well, I made it. And, oh mate, can you make my one? And we're like, okay, well, we'll do it, And,
all right, fine, we'll take your money.
Yeah, it's like, so you'll have to cover the cost of the bits, and he was doing sort of favours for mates, and then but it was growing, and so sort of earlier last year we were like, why don't we try give this a go? He never has enough time to make the ones. He enjoys the hobby. It's you love the creative outlet of it, the making and the bringing it to life. So we thought, well, we kind of we consider ourselves, it's like the LARPers next door. Oh, we want one of them. Can you make it for us? Or and we try and keep everything really accessible. Because there's a whole price point out there. You can spend, you can have full sets of leather armour and so, and it's amazing. There's such a range. We try and keep ourselves very sort of mid-priced, we like to think. What do you want, sort of thing. And that's how it started. It was mates going, can you make one of those? Oh, your braces, can I have a set of those braces? And oh, I need a shield. And you were like, well, I can do it, but I haven't got time. And so we've just thought we'd give it a go.
That's amazing. But and that is, I think, again, something very inspirational. It's giving it a go, and now you're at the point where, for you, this is full time now, I guess, and this is your everything. And I can really appreciate that, because that's kind of what happened here with me. I was, I started this as a hobby, and then things happened, life changes, and people go, well, can you make me some dice, or can you do this? And then we were like, okay, well, yep, and then the steam rolls forwards, and all of a sudden, this is what you do full time, which is a very scary and rewarding thing at the same time, because
I get that.
I don't know if you get it, but I get a lot of imposter syndrome where I'm like, I'm not good enough to do this and I hate myself. And then somebody has this thing that you're like, oh God, I can see all the mistakes I've made. But everybody else is like, oh my God, I love this. It's got this character. And you're like, are you sure?
And you see what other people are doing. You go, oh, I really like theirs. And, but then we'll go to an event and when we can get into them, when we go to events, everybody loves what we're making. It's incredible stuff. It's really, really incredible And then
stuff.
they come away going, oh, okay, it's all right. We're doing okay. And I think, it's like we were sort of touching on before, it's really nice to get to events, to meet the people. And that's what we found. We thought it was going to be really easy. We thought we make nice stuff, we'll just contact loads of people and we'll just rock up to their events and we'll sell.
Because it doesn't quite work like that, does it?
It really doesn't.
No, and so I guess give us your experience of starting this business and then going into events, because I think that's something that if people are starting their own hobby business that then they're wanting to turn into something more, it's nice to hear the stories of other people to realise that as things happen, it's never going to be like you imagine it to be. So going, like, booking events for you and events that you do. So I guess let's start with like what events you actually do and how you got to that point and how it went with like, you think it'd be booking events and just going, but actually it's not. Give us your experience.
Well, we thought we've got stock. We're just going to book up something every weekend, you know, through the whole LARP season. And it just wasn't that straightforward, was it, really?
No. No, because a lot of LARPs have almost, like you said, got the imposter syndrome, and they're like, well, we're not big enough to have a trader.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's fine. I've got no issue if you've got 30 players, if you've got 20 players, if you've got 100 players. It's like getting our name out there. Yeah.
And meeting people. You just love meeting people. And again, like you said about people always asking for advice, aren't they? How did you make that, or what did you do? You know, it's not a secret. You're more than happy to talk people through it, and so I think we found that we were reaching out to places, and either they didn't think they were big enough for a LARP. We've got a few like that, and we're like, look, do you know, for us it's advertising. Just let us turn up. You know, we'll.
Because if you don't ask, you don't get.
No,
and I think
that's it.
One of the biggest things that I think you guys approached with these smaller events that were happening, and these people like, well, we just kind of booked a field from a farmer and just turn up and hit each other with swords. We didn't realise people were going to want to start selling here, or people might want to. And I think that for anybody who is potentially either getting into any kind of, you know, anything LARP, anything tabletop, and you're like, actually, there's an event happening, just ask. And I think that's the hardest hurdle to get past.
Absolutely, and I think we're not very good at putting ourselves out there.
No, you said this before the stream. It's actually something else that I wanted to talk about, because again, it's one of those things where I can sit here in this room and I can turn the cameras on, and although I'm going to sit here and I'm going to face you like that, I occasionally will turn this way and talk to the camera over there and the microphones, and you guys will go, oh, there's a camera on, I forgot about that.
My God.
Because that's, you know, this is like my area of you know, the slice of internet and the hobby that I do, and it's not necessarily everybody else's who's in artistry, because we put ourselves out there as a props maker, a costume maker, a resin artist, a portrait artist, and then when it comes to that same imposter syndrome and that same time to promote myself, that's when it becomes hard, and that's why I wanted to do this series, because you said earlier about getting yourselves out there. So where can people find you? And where did you start the journey of trying to get yourselves out there?
Look at each other. Well, we started off like very small. Again, we got our Facebook page up, we've got our Instagram, we've got our website, and they're lovely, but that doesn't mean everybody knows about them.
No.
So we've had to learn this whole other side of sort of trying to post and put yourself out there, and it's a whole section that we thought we were going to make stuff, get in the van, go and camp somewhere, sell stuff, talk to other LARPers. So we've just, and that's again, there's very much we're trying to focus on this year. We thought, like last year, we thought we were going to book places up and be everywhere. You know, so we do all the Chaos Gate events because it's our local one, they're friends of ours. So, you know, we support them, they support us, so we do all of those. Last year we did another event called Goblin Town.
Yeah, that's good fun.
That was fantastic.
Awesome. Where's that to?
So much fun. It's Oakhampton.
Yes.
Oakhampton Way, so again, not too far. And the owner of that does lots of other events as well. So that was really good. Then I think we've seen you guys at like Roll the Dice.
Yeah.
Again, we've got that crossover. We were like, well, it's not LARP, because quite often LARP can be quite niche.
Yes.
And especially down in Cornwall, we haven't got a lot of that sort of thing. But we were like, you know what, it crosses over with D&D. It's just cool stuff. We like coming and see. I'm looking around at all your stuff now, and you know, people just like looking at it.
Yeah.
And also, if we can get more people into the hobby.
And I think that again, that's kind of part of it. It's not just necessarily about being like, hey, we want to come here and we want to sell things. It's actually about celebrating the hobby and celebrating your passions, because for me, I find that we live now in an age where I don't know if you had it when you were younger. I was certainly like, oh, I'm not that nerd. I can't like show myself to be that. I'm just going to get beaten up at school, or I'm going to be like, you know, I would like avoid playing 40k. I would avoid like D&D and stuff like that as a kid because I was so self-conscious. But now we celebrate.
You're allowed now.
Yeah,
it's okay. It's encouraged.
Freaking amazing that we are like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah, I'm really into this particular interest, and the fact that we get to celebrate that now, and we have communities through things like social medias, which. You say about putting yourself out there, and social media has become a very hard thing to engage with recently through either political things or through the fact that algorithms are changing, and again that imposter syndrome thing hits, and it does become very hard. And it is a case of just trying to continuously put out just a picture, just go, hey, here's one of our staffs, and then a little bit of information on it. And I think that you guys do that so well, especially for having been avoiding that for so long.
I think so. We
and
have,
then to be well, actually now we are putting ourselves out there. You know what? It's now part of the business. I'm just going to take a picture. I'm going to put it out there. Next one, let's go.
Yeah.
And it is a case of just trying to get past that hurdle.
Still a little bit rubbish at it though.
If you ever see any of my posts, half of them have spelling mistakes in them, and I'm just really awful. And that's partly certain neurodivergences and issues, but like I'm so bad at proofreading. I really am. And people just message me afterwards and like, dude, wrong date. And I'm like, yep, cool, I'll change that now.
Yeah.
But I think people need to not worry too much about it when they're doing it and just learn as you go. And I think you guys have done that so well. That
it's definitely been a learning curve.
Yeah.
Because initially, I mean, we we're very private. We don't really post a lot even on our own.
Yeah.
So to suddenly have to be putting ourselves out there, and people are like, oh, you need to post more often and show us what you're doing, and we're like, why would you want to know what we're doing?
It's also show us you.
That's the weirdest part.
Yeah, because people want to intrinsically get to know you as well, not just your product, but they want to know you as a person.
Which is fine if we're at an event.
Yeah.
Face to face.
It's weird on social media though, isn't it?
But on social media, it is so difficult. I mean, at the event, we can sit there, we can tell you all about it all, I mean, we want people to get into the hobby. I mean, it's an amazing, especially, like you said, how society and life is at the moment, having that escapism.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And we can do that all day long, face to face in an event. I mean, the amount of chatting that we do at an event.
It's good. It's what you want.
Absolutely.
Engagement.
Absolutely.
Like that in-person, face-to-face engagement at an event is incredible.
But translating that to social media and trying to be as approachable and as friendly as we are, like I think we are, it is really hard.
Yeah, it's very, very hard.
It's really hard.
Constantly worry about social medias and me saying something stupid or doing something stupid, let alone living in a cancel culture, let alone like, and I'm just like...
all of it.
It's a really tricky minefield to navigate that is just anxiety-inducing.
Absolutely.
It is really something, and I think that's, again, something with our hobbies and our interests, is that anxiety, depression, PTSD, these kind of conditions that we pick up along the way, we kind of end up navigating towards escapism. So hobbies like ours have a lot of neurodivergent people and a lot of people with mental health conditions. And we're trying to offer them this escape or this just something else for the mind to latch onto, which be that D&D, be it a war game, be it slinging dice, or be it putting on a costume and being somebody else.
Just be somebody else, and everybody is so friendly.
And that's the other thing is, especially from what I've seen with you guys in particular, because I actually can't say I know too many people in Larp. I'd be lying if I said I did, and it's only because of you that I met the guys from Chaos Gate, and that we kind of like at things like the Roll the Dice Cornwall events, and through the Comic and Movie Festival Falmouth, things like that. That I got to meet a few more people from your hobby and from your interest that I was just like... we're all the same, and it's interesting to see so many people that have anxiety and have depression and stuff, but when you put on the mask and the character, you can become somewhat more free.
Absolutely, you can be what you want to be, and people are really, really accepted. And again, like I said, neurodivergent or even not, or anxiety, we it doesn't matter. Everybody is just really...
Yeah, because I found
accepting of it
really hard to play different characters until I started playing Yew Wot.
Yeah.
And I had a full mask.
So Yew Wot is a character?
Yeah.
Yes, Yew Wot started out as a character.
Yeah.
He is still a character.
He's a goblin wizard.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
That explains the logo, that explains it.
Explains it. I suppose it does actually explain a lot,
Yeah.
And it was... As soon as I put the mask on, you could do whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
And no one knew it was you. It's a bit like Slipknot.
Yeah.
The reason they wore the masks is because they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
And they didn't. And none of them cared because they had a mask on.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre.
I think it's Mick Thompson, isn't it, who's number 7, who is one of the lead guitarists, was like, you know, has crippling anxiety, doesn't want to go out and socialise, but like, I put on the mask and I go on stage and I
and
give
it's
it a
different.
rocket.
It's
Exactly.
and there's a few people like that like to wear the mask.
Yeah.
You know, and then sometimes they'll be all right not wearing the mask later because if you realise that, oh, look, I'm accepted here, it doesn't matter, we're just here to role play, have a bit of fun.
Was, as soon as I put the mask on at the first event, I was playing his character. I started talking, and Sam turned around and said, "I'm not going to be spending a lot of time with you."
Yep.
It was like,
and I'm like, nailed it.
Nice.
Perfect.
we had the costume, we had the mask, but it wasn't until we were in the tent at the event, the mask went on, and then you started talking in this voice that became Yew Wot. And I was just, I'm not spending much time with you this weekend at all.
So, as somebody who's part of their, I guess my masking is I dive into different characters, and now all of a sudden, then I've got one who's horrid called Dimitri, who seems to come out of nowhere, and he's this like upper class silver spoon in his mouth, awful, you know, 20s human being who is just like, he's not good. But when I'm masking, he comes out for some reason. I'm just like, oh my god. It was like that kind of situation where you were like, you know what, I'm going to mask up, and that was this character came out, and you were like,
pretty much, yeah.
But goblins get to be mischievous,
what.
and that's kind of their character thing. I was just being an awful human being, and I had to keep him in his box quite a lot. But so do you both then take part in the LARP?
Yeah.
Or do you find that now you have Yew Wots that you're spending more time on the stand and that takes away from being able to LARP?
At the moment, we'll have the stand, but we'll only open certain times
if
of the
we're
day.
LARPing.
Nice.
Depends where we are.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chaos Gate, we tend to LARP and have the stall.
Yeah.
So we tend to just sort of, do a bit of both.
Because we also run the kids' adventure for Chaos
awesome.
Gate.
So
write up a little story for the weekend, and then they've got to do it.
What sort of age groups then do you cover for the kids' events?
There's, I've got to think now, 3 groups, like whatever to 12, and 12 to 16, and then 16 plus. So 16 plus the adults. They call the initiates, so the 12 to 16, so they start using the rules. And then before 12 is just
chaos goblins.
Chaos.
Yeah. They call them the killers.
Yeah, because I bet they go swinging.
And our bad guys. If you're sent out against the killers, you've
got to make sure you wear a cricket box.
Yeah, I think that's amazing because you're then showing a younger generation and the next generation that this is fine and this is normal and you can go out and have fun if you want to play pretend in the field, and that is exactly what this escapism
and you go
is for
with
all
your
of us.
parents.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with the younger ones, you know, it is parentally supervised. You don't get to just drop them off. So
you're whacking my kid with a staff for the next 2 hours. We're on it, don't worry.
But at the same, you know, which is great. But it's again, everything's on screens and stuff, so you can go and camp, or not. You can just sit there with your kids at the woods, and mum and dad are doing it as well.
That's
and
amazing.
if you don't want to role play, you can just chuck on some simple clothes and just be there and supervise. But it is quite contagious, you know. Quite people say,
and
you
the
know,
kids are
come
really
along.
good at role playing.
Yeah. We'll
Like,
have parents that
amazing.
come along. One will stay with the kids, and one will go monster, which means they just get to go and you'll play role playing for the players, and people can kind of get sucked in that way. But just to be able to, it's just fun.
See, that for me, it gets me like, I really want to like take
Your
part.
boys would love it.
Yeah, they probably would.
Especially once they get their daggers.
Yeah,
I might slip some dates in there.
Do it. Absolutely.
And, so again, you can come for the day. You can buy, you can have a day ticket. You can just come for the day, or if you want to camp for the weekend, you know the camping's included in the ticket price for the weekend, and you get to camp. There's showers, toilets at the Chaos Gate one, you know, and then
it's amazing.
You know, the first one is in April. It's a bit nippy.
And there he is. It's like, well, maybe we're going to book a hotel.
But again, you're close. You could come for the day. It's time in at 10. It goes up to sort of tea time. Then everyone has a break, and then there are evening things that go on as well for sort of the older.
It really is like a full event and a full like weekend of.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
They'll have a storyline over the weekend. The kids last year, they had to defeat a mind flayer.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's D&D wise, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which they eventually managed to do it. He tried to trap them in another dimension.
So it incorporates things like magic as well and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's like this one. All LARPs are different.
Yeah.
But Chaos Gate's like high fantasy.
Oh, amazing.
So it's you can pretty much draw any like element of D&D from it.
That's very, very cool.
Which is cool for the weapons as well, because you've got a bit of free reign with it being high fantasy.
Yeah, I bet, because then you got things like enchantments on weapons
rods
and
you know, you can make such fun stuff, can't you?
In terms of stuff like that, then, what do you think's been your favourite piece that you've made?
Probably the Wabberjack.
What is a Wabberjack when it's at home?
From Skyrim.
Oh, right, okay, yes. I took an arrow to the knee and I didn't remember that. That's why.
Yeah, so I did. It was for myself.
Good.
But I did a 5.5 foot staff with the 3-4 faces
on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, that was really good fun.
Please tell me that's on your socials and people can
Yeah,
totally see that.
That's
amazing.
There.
That's why we say like we do the sort of the commissions and stuff as well. So sometimes we've had someone recently said there's a staff. I can't remember what game it was from.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's like, oh, can you make me one of these? And we were like, yeah, we can make you. You know, obviously there's always a little bit of leeway. It's not, always, you know, because
Genshin Impact.
Yeah, I don't know it that well, but it could
either.
be. I think actually that goes to then talk on about the fact that somebody could commission you for something, and you'd be like, okay, well I don't know this, but we are now in a world where we can literally Google it, and then there are usually like 3D renders of.
Yeah.
Or you could be like, I want that, but can I have it with a purple handle, and then can you have a gemstone there, or can you inscript this on the hand? You know, so they can make it their own.
Yeah,
so it can be like, cool. or we'll say like, what sort of things are you thinking? They'll send you 2 or 3 pictures, and we're like, are you you know, sometimes you'll be like, are you happy for me to make that my own, but make you a version with all that? Some people want it more specific.
So we have the same thing with dice. It's very much like somebody will, when the commissions are open, they'll go, oh, I've got this idea, and I go, okay, well, yes, we can do this, or it might be different, and you know, there's always room for change.
I think that's the best part of it is the commissions.
Yeah.
Especially when it's someone's original idea.
Yeah, that's really cool to see what people come up with.
Yeah, because obviously all our sort of imaginations are limited.
Yeah.
You know, and as soon as someone comes in and say, I want this, and this, and you're like,
and it opens up a whole.
That'll be amazing.
You can make that for them, but now I want to make that, and that as well.
Yeah.
And then you'll draw some pictures of it, but my drawing is terrible. For some reason, I can't draw. Carve it 3-dimensionally in foam, fine, no problem.
Yeah.
But give me a pencil and it'll look like a 5-year-old.
So usually it'll be like that, but better.
So
yeah,
and actually, that's actually a very, very good point. Is the design aspect of this, which I'd be really interested to know, because I think this takes us to 2 different places with this conversation. One, does doing this lead to then things like people with film production companies wanting props? As my wife does many things with costume design and stuff like that, and has worked for local companies, but like, you guys have been approached before about props and stuff, right? And about working with local film companies, which is mind-blowing again, that somebody, you've gone, I've got a hobby, and you know, there it is. But then there's also with that one, are they like, oh, I want to see a drawn design first, or are they like, no, we've seen this, we've got this, and this, and we'll throw it your way? Because I know for a fact I've met people in costume design that can't draw, and they're like, I can't do a drawing of this dress, but I can tell you I can sew it, and I can make it.
Yeah, absolutely. We're approached by a guy called Martin Webster. He's a director.
Wow.
Webster Productions. He's done a couple of films, and he's doing one. It's called The Grail, and it's based on, there's a legend that Joseph of Arimathea came across to Falmouth trading.
Wow.
It's a local legend. I'd never heard of the legend, but I googled it and it's true.
There you go.
Yeah.
As true as the legend is.
Yep.
And he said, I want you to make it was a Roman sword.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he's absolutely brilliant. He'll have some ideas, but then just make it look cool. Just make it look really good.
And that was good cool. Because it didn't need to be LARP safe.
Yeah.
So it didn't need to be as chunky. So I was going to say the difference between a prop and a LARP safe weapon.
Yeah,
You know,
very,
our
very
LARP
different.
safe weapons are quite chunkier to look at, whereas this one you were able to make it look more realistic.
More like a replication
you
of
could reinforce it. You know, it's going to be firmer because it's not, you know, not as padded and stuff like that. But it looked really cool at the end, didn't it?
That's so cool. And so is that something that they would then just use as a costume dressing, or as a set dressing, or is this something that they went on to use as like an actual prop, or do we not know yet?
It's I can't say too much because it's still in production.
Okay, I will.
It's a little bit of a secret.
NDAs and all that.
But yeah, it's a prop for a character who's like an assassin, and there's some really, really, it's beautifully filmed, really, really good.
Oh, amazing! So have you started seeing footage and stuff from it? Have you? That's all right. Classic.
Every time it is. Every interview.
It happens.
Yeah.
It's in a pretty chill format. We're not like, oh my god, we're a production company. This is literally a falling down shed in my garden.
Yeah.
It is. You really don't have to worry too much about
it's fair.
any of that with us. But that's really cool. That you've had this opportunity.
Yeah. And he's come back and asked for a couple more bits as well.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, which I 100% can't say, but they look awesome.
That's very, very cool. And
it also gives me a chance to be like really nerdy, because it will say, right, so it's set like 0 BC. I'm like, right, I've got to start researching exactly what the Celts used then.
So is this something that you were actually interested in before, or is this something that you found that you picked up an interest from as you were then learning about the weapons, or were you like, no, I really like history and I really like...
I've always liked history. I've always gone in for more 14th, 15th, 16th century. Obviously this is a lot long before then, but it gives me an excuse to start like nerding down and looking up as much stuff as I can.
Yeah. It's interesting because that's the side of things that I don't necessarily know too much of myself. And although like most of the things that I do tend to be on the sci-fi side of things, people like Alex, who sits at this table with me, and Tamsin, who sits at this table with me. Tamsin did reenactment in the past, and Alex is really into like things like castles and stuff like that. And they love diving into the history of things. And again, from the sci-fi side of things, I don't overly need to do that. So I tend to find myself diving into like sci-fi literature and stuff like that, whereas for your side of the art things to actually go back and be like, right, well actually let's take a look at what an actual Roman soldier's sword was like, and then if it's then that's the basis for a high fantasy thing, to be like, well, how do we then change that to then fit the aesthetic, or we're doing it as a prop.
Well, that's it, exactly. You can change it, which
is very, very cool. And the fact that you've had the opportunity to now work with a film production company off the back end of a hobby, that's...
Yeah, and
did you think that's where it would go?
No.
No.
We hope. You always hope. You think, oh, maybe we can reach out to some theatre companies, or maybe they want some props or something. And it was quite cool, really, because we were approached from two directions.
Yeah.
So we didn't realise a friend of ours that likes to do filming and stuff like that was working with them, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But at the same time, one of their people that work with them had reached out independently. So that was quite flattering, because they'd kind of looked us up before we realised there was a connection of a friend sort of thing.
Awesome.
So that was really nice.
It's going to be very rewarding as well to be like, we were kind of recognised for what we do.
Yeah. They found pictures, and because obviously again, with us especially not being very well out there at the moment, the fact that they'd heard about us and reached out, that was really good. And the fact they've come back for more.
Yeah.
I always think that's always a good one, isn't it? If someone comes back for more, then
it's
you've
awesome.
done something right.
So, obviously you guys have had this journey, and how long has Yew Wots been actually running for now?
A year now.
So it really has happened quite fast for you guys, which I think is impressive. And obviously we still have, it's weird, because I would say that is a very, very big success story, to go take your hobby and then be like, we are doing events and we are doing things that I hope you can say make you happy, which is kind of what we want from hobbies that then turn into jobs, rather than doing the standard 9 till 5. But there's also a lot of hurdles that we have to get over to get to that point, which you guys have absolutely 100%. Just been like, you know what, let's jump this hurdle, let's get to the next one, let's get to the next one.
Yeah.
But anybody who is potentially like listening or watching and is looking to get into more of prop making or into starting their own business or anything that ties into Yew Wots, what would be your advice to them? What would you say to somebody who's just starting out?
If I was to do it again, it would be to get to as many events as you can.
Yeah.
Even more so as a player or as crew.
Yeah.
And get talking with the organisers.
Yeah.
Which is what we're trying. We feel like we're playing catch up a bit this year.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
Is networking.
This year.
Is getting people to know who you are, isn't it?
And is that easier because you are doing it within your own hobby? So you're not just like networking, like you're going to a networking event where everyone's in a suit and tie, and you're like, oh hi, my name's Ian, my name's Sam, we make props, and somebody goes, well, I'm a banker, go away. You're literally going to an event that people are all interested in the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, it's not networking, you're just going to meet people and make friends.
Pretty much.
You just go play for the weekend and then pretty much. So I mean, and that's the nice thing about it. Wherever you rock up, you're welcome. Yeah. And everyone wants to talk to you, and you'll talk to other people, and and I think that's it. And the more, because we thought we would just book places up, and we're like, okay, if we can't book up, let's just go along. Most LARPs will have, you can monster or crew for free, or you can go and be a paying player.
Nice.
So and obviously they all need crew, so we can go and crew or go and play. And I think just getting to meet people, because quite often people will buy because it's you. Yeah. So
I think that was a piece of advice given to me, is turn yourself into the brand. Yeah. And if people like you, chances are they will buy your product.
Absolutely. If someone's going to buy...
that way then.
Yeah, well, it's very hard to do because you have to then put yourself out there, and it's one of those hurdles that's hard to do.
And that's what we found really difficult, and we thought, well, the easiest way for us, again, is that face-to-face.
Yeah.
So whereas we're reaching out to people, maybe we're not getting somewhere, because quite often events will get full, and they'll invite the same people back next year, which means they're already full. So if you're new, you can't get in.
Yeah.
So I think it's very much that networking side is going out and meeting people, and then they might be like, oh well, actually what do you do? Yeah. And then maybe we can try and so I think that's what we're going to try and do this year, is just go and be in more places, because that's what we thought. We bought the van, we thought we're going to be travelling here and there. So I mean, we had somebody reach out. We're sort of stepping into an event at the end of this month, which is a bit further up the line.
Whereabouts?
Staffordshire, is it? I think.
Awesome.
So that's quite good, because we're happy to travel.
Yeah.
So it's just got to get all the stock sorted now.
We should get that on the logo.
Happy
van
to
will travel.
I think that's the thing that I wanted to ask about as well, is that obviously you've got the Chaos Gate down here at Tahiti, and then you've got the Goblin Town up in Oakhampton.
Yes.
But do you guys travel any further? Do you go up to Bristol? Is it for Empire? Is it Bristol that they do Empire? I feel like somebody said that to me in the past.
No, we've reached out. We can't get in there yet.
So it's full.
Because they're full. Because obviously, they get good traders, and they're happy. And obviously you and we understand it. You want good traders to come back year on year. They support you, you're supporting them. So we haven't really gone much further yet.
Yeah, but that's
that's the goal really, is to sort of try and get a bit further afield, because we're down here in Cornwall. I mean, it's
you've got to be coming to Cornwall to be down
whereas
here.
The further up you are, your catchment area is a lot bigger.
Yes,
for the LARP. So,
very much so.
And we will, if we need to post anything out from down here. Courier prices.
We'll talk about the courier prices
for the bigger, especially for the bigger weapons, which when you're commissioned, they're quite often the ones people want to commission. Yeah. We had someone from up the line, and they commissioned an amazing staff. They wanted a stab save spear. Yeah. And I think they were from Empire, weren't they, or something?
They lived up in Essex.
Oh, cool.
So in Empire, you kind of have different sort of groups of people, factions.
Yeah.
So they have a set aesthetic. So like if you're from there, you look like this. If you're from here, you probably look a bit like that. He commissioned this amazing stab safe spear. But obviously courier prices and stuff like that end up being huge. Yeah. I don't know, did he end up getting someone that was down here to pick that one up, didn't he? A friend of a friend.
It can be like that, and I know that so say ship internationally, but actually thanks to recent events, shipping to Europe doesn't happen, and you know, it's going to get expensive elsewhere. But while we still can, we do ship to things like the US, and that obviously gets, you know, it gets expensive.
It
and,
does.
You know, I'm sending out a parcel this big, and I'm spending, you know, 35 quid to send that to America. You're sending out a 6 foot long box with extra safe padding in it and stuff like that, and fragile tape, and expecting, you know, it's going to be expensive, but it's still amazing that you do. And that's the thing, is like, you know, it's one of those things that, you know, I think surely if people are commissioning that kind of thing, they will understand.
Yeah, they have been brilliant. Yeah, they have been really good. But I think that's why it'd be nice to get to events further up the line. Yeah, because they haven't got to worry about postage then, or they can see what we do. And also, when you're ordering something, you haven't seen it.
No.
So people that have bought from us before. So again, we've had I don't think it was the same chap. We had somebody buy was it the bone with some bone swords or something. And he said, "Oh, I quite like that, and I think I'm going to want a bone axe, but I want to take these to my local event." I'm not sure if it was Empire or whatever, to make sure they pass weapons check, because they can't test them, they can't feel them. And we knew they were going to pass because they do. Yeah. And so it was really great, because then he came back to us and go, "Oh yeah, fantastic! I want the axe to match, and I want the bone axe." So, and I think that's it. People can't see before they buy. Yes. So you don't know if you're getting a quality product or a not. And I think that's the thing. So when at least when they've seen us at an event, they can try them out and go, "Oh, that was really cool. I like that." Or, or if a friend's bought one, "Oh, I've got one from them and it's still doing really well." Yeah. So it's building up that reputation like that, word of mouth as well. And I completely agree. Once they've bought one thing, like say with your dice, you probably have people that buy one. They know they roll right. They know they look the part. Then they'll come back. It is exactly that. And I think because I don't know if you guys get this side of things where people will be like, "Why is it so expensive?" And it's fine to ask that question. Please do ask that question, especially with like dice making. It's, for me, it's time. It's literally, you know, one set of dice, and it's like you've got a family member who has come to us, and we were like, "Look, you know, this is how you make dice." And like you, I'm very happy to share that information, because it's all about building community and stuff. Stay safe when you're making them, and then when they're done, realise that you've just put about 40 hours into 7 small dice. Yes. Exactly. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
Yeah. I saw a really nice post. It's a cosplayer, and she put up the costume, and then the cost was like $200 materials.
And that's just the materials.
Yeah. Then these prices, they all seemed fairly reasonable, and it's like 308 hours.
Yep.
And that's
at minimum wage ends up being like
a lot, and that's just at minimum wage.
£3,000 plus.
And when you consider that people like ourselves, we pay ourselves less than minimum wage.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're self-employed, and we are just trying to get ourselves out there.
And that's kind of how it grew, because initially it was like with friends, we were like, "Look, pay for the materials."
Yeah.
You know, and then it was like, "Well, this is taking hours," you know.
And that's when it's hard, and that's, I think, another hurdle that people might actually be interested in, is when you are doing a hobby that then's becoming a job. For me personally, I was like, "Yeah, cool, I'm happy to make dice for my friends and stuff." And then it got to the point where, like, "Oh, I actually, you know, you can ask me for them, but actually at this point I'm now actually going to have to charge you, because I have other people who I'm charging, but also if I do yours, I can't do theirs. And I need to make money now." Yeah. And that's it. We've turned it into, you know, it's your full-time job now. So, and then that was hard as well, because it's getting that price point, because it's kind of like, right, so materials is that's fine, but it's going to take this much time to sort of do, but we don't want to end up being too expensive. Yeah. But everything is handmade. It's not mass-produced. It's not, you know, you're not going to find another one exactly the same. Yeah. Even if you want to the same, it's not going to be exactly the same. Yeah. And so that was really hard. Yeah. To sort of say to people, actually, well, we can, but it's, you know, whereas before it might have been like, you know, oh, if you cover 40 quid's worth of materials, whereas now it's like, actually, a sword's going to be like £70. Yeah. Because I still think it's a very reasonable price. We try to keep, we want it to sort of be almost entry level, really, don't we? So everybody can come and do the hobby. Yeah. And that's a big part of what it was, is we want to encourage people to LARP. Yeah. You know, come and join, come and have fun, you know, and again, like we said, like with Chaos Gate, and other LARPs do as well, and I know some further up the line do the ones, you can bring your family. Yeah. You know, you can all be off the screen, you can socialise. We all feel a little bit like reserved initially. Yeah. And we all get there and we have all a minute, and then the next thing before you know it, you're all talking, you know, even with people that have just rocked up that day,
and like that your best mates forever sort of thing, because it's so accepting.
It's also on that line as well. It's very engaging with each other when you share a hobby with somebody, even if you just make like, oh, and this and that and this and that.
Always something to talk about.
And it's just instant stim, and you will just absolutely find your people.
Yeah. So I think you found that hard charging friends initially. I mean, we still have some friends. You know, we do. Don't get me wrong, we still help friends out. Yeah. There's still things that we can do.
Exactly.
But if it's like, oh, actually, can you make me a full set of robes?
Oh, well, now I'm working.
Now do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
whereas it's a whole, oh, I've got this, can you help me repair it or help me zhuzh it up a little bit? You know, so sometimes it's hard to decide what's going to be a favour and what has to be work.
Yeah, and do you find, actually, that's a very good point that I want to pull on, is as you've been putting yourselves out there, because I don't know if you've had this, but I've certainly had it, and it's fine in some aspects, and it's all about timing for me. This is doing things for exposure. So when somebody's like, oh, cool, actually, if you send us a set of dice, we'll feature them on this, and, you know, I'm like, okay, well, that's realistically, you know, £40 of materials, 40 to 80 hours of labour for me to send you, and then I'm paying the postage to send it out to X, Y, and Z, and that's fine. And you know, and when we look at things, you know, if it was a huge company with hundreds of thousands, millions of followers, and they were going to be like promoting it, then you know, you sort of take the pill and you go, yes, okay, that's kind of worth exposure.
Off to advertising costs.
Yeah, but then at the same time, it's trying to grow the community, whereas channels like ours, which, you know, we are still sub 1,000 on YouTube. We are, you know, still, you know, building up our repertoire. If I were to ask a company, they would probably go, well, no, you haven't got the following. And it's about, I think for us as a smaller company, trying to find not only the friends that you would send them to, but the people that you get the right exposure from. I don't know if you guys get asked for exposure things at all. If somebody's like, hey, could you send us a load of props and we'll do a show with them, or, you know, we'll have them at our event. Does that happen to you guys at all?
It's not happened yet.
Something I didn't know anything about.
It's I think because Larp's not huge still. You know, it happens all over the country, but there's not as many like LARPer YouTubers.
No, it's not like I guess like a media based.
Not
hobby.
as mainstream.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that do it, but yeah, I guess without having that media focus on it, it's not like it's being recorded. It's not like it's. Yeah, so I suppose it's not going to go that way. I just didn't know if that was something.
It'd be nice if it did go that way. Perhaps I could be
very
the first one.
Do it. Take a camera along and ask a load of people with anxiety, can I just record you? Smile!
I think you find the cosplay community has a lot more of that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that's something that I think we are looking to branch out into a little bit more. As we said, there's a difference between LARP props and cosplay props. So I think after we went to the Falmouth one that we went to, and seeing all that, and our daughter was quite into that, and we were like, okay, maybe we'll have to make her a costume at some point. But I think that's somewhere we can expand into, because
that'd be cool.
You know, it doesn't need to be LARP safe. It just needs to look like what they need it to look like, and be either comfortable or lightweight enough that they can then carry it. Absolutely. And that's it, because sometimes they have props or weapons or this or that. You know, and I think you made a massive. What was the big sword that you made?
Please tell me it's the Buster Sword from Final Fantasy.
Almost.
Oh my god. Honestly, when you were talking, I was like, I'm just going to wait for a second. I'm going to jump in and be like, so if I asked you for a Buster Sword from Final Fantasy, which is like a 6 foot long blade.
What was it? That massive sword that you made?
Dragon Slayer Great Sword.
Wow, okay, yeah. I'm pretty sure I know the one.
It was huge. Dark Souls, was it?
No.
It's not Elden Ring, it's
not Bleach. From one of the anime.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something different then. I'm not gonna. I don't know off the top of my head then. But either way.
Yeah. This was.
Are you talking about the flat one?
6.5 foot tall. Yeah, that was.
It was just a giant blade thing, wasn't it?
It was a thing. It was ridiculous.
Still.
But that's what he wanted. He just wanted one. I think you did say I don't think I'm going to make another one of those. It was like half a door wide. It was huge.
So that I find is funny as well with commissions, and that's actually something. Not necessarily, I'm not going to point out any in particular, but like when you sometimes take on a commission that you're like, this is a great idea, and then at the end of the commission, you're like, I am never doing this again.
Yeah.
Has that happened to you very often?
Just the once.
Saying just the
So
once.
far.
Yeah. Just the once.
Yeah.
But then,
But it's very rewarding as well at the end when you get it out there.
if someone asked me to do one again, I probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because I said after
Glutton for punishment.
after my last one of those where I was like, I am never doing that again. I got a message through, somebody was like, hey, I've got a commission. I was like, yeah, okay, so we can probably do this. And I instantly was like, I could probably do that.
Yeah,
I was
no
like,
problem.
why?
That's fine.
My wife looked at me and was like, I thought you weren't going to do that. And I was like, I wasn't. And then I responded and said I would.
Someone has to be.
Can't say no.
And, so
I think, and I think it's stuff like, I mean, you've made some sort of movie props that you've enjoyed, like with it.
I did the Great Sword of Artorias from
That was it, yeah. I was going to say, I knew there was another one. So
That's
that was
very cool.
That was beautiful.
Well, it is, but he has to test all the weapons on something. Someone.
Yeah? But did you make that to be LARP safe, or were you just like, hey, babe!
Thankfully, it was LARP safe.
Yeah.
But generally, because he makes me as the shed outside, I'll just be minding my own, pegging out the laundry. And the next thing I know, I'm getting beaten up.
Thwack!
Which I think is unnecessary.
I think it's entirely necessary.
Is this the cry for help? Is this
Please, help me.
Is this why we're here now? Is this the... I was like, ooh.
But yeah, like you've made Milner.
Dragonborn Industries does not advocate domestic violence.
Yeah. So sometimes you make them just because you want them.
Yeah.
Don't you? Like.
Yeah. Did was it when? Not Endgame came out. The one before Endgame.
Infinity War? Or we...
No, it was Endgame, yeah.
Yeah.
Did the... not Mjolnir.
Stormbreaker.
Stormbreaker, yeah.
That's very cool.
So sometimes it's just like he just needs to have one.
Watched
So
it in the
to make
cinema
one
and I was
of
like, I can make
those.
that.
See, now that's, I think, again, something that is a fantastic thing that you do, is that something that I think would probably go back to the beginning of the hobby, maybe, where you've gone, I'm going to give that a go, I'm going to make that. And I love that you clearly then still have that passion for the making it. It's not like you've just taken it on as a hobby, lost the interest, because sometimes we do overreach and we do too much. But the fact that you've instantly seen the film gone, I can make that, and gone, I want it, so I'm going to go make it.
Yeah.
And I think that passion right there, I think that's amazing that you've still got that, and it's something that I can relate to with dice, is that I'll just go, I'm actually just going to make a set for me. I'm just going to...
Just climb on one.
Yeah. And it's...
I might go with my other 40 sets that are just for me.
Yeah. it's definitely...
Storage is a thing.
Yeah, it really is. Actually, yeah,
Well,
how did you combat that? Did you already luckily have the storage space for it, or were you like, oh, now we need a bigger shed, or now we need...
We could do with a bigger... We could do with one of these.
I'm very, very, very privileged to be here.
Very envious.
Yeah, I'm. It's falling down, and I don't know whether if we survive another winter. I have no clue. But for now, I'm so very privileged and lucky. And, it's. I can't imagine being in your position where you're making 6-foot-long weapons, costumes, armour.
I mean, we're lucky to have a room in the house for the sewing side of things.
Yeah.
And then you've got the shed for
the weapon side.
But he could do with a bigger shed.
The fumes are
if we have a
awful.
good year, he can have a new shed.
Oh, lucky boy.
Yes. But thankfully, because we stock Game On, anything we make, we can just put down there for sale.
That's amazing.
And then draw from it when we go away.
Yeah. So for anybody who is watching, Game On Cornwall is a shop in Penzance. It's at the top of the high street. It's near the junction, and it's pretty much opposite the Weatherspoons, if that's still there. I get down Penzance very often, and they are a lovely group of people, and you guys stock them with your things.
Yeah.
And so if you want to physically see their things and you're here in Cornwall...
Yeah, come and try them out.
Yeah, come try that. Go down to Penzance, go down to Game On Cornwall, go check out the Yew Wots stuff that's in there, because it's really something impressive to see your guys' costumes, your props, your weapons. every time I see you at an event and they're just there, like racked up behind the stand, I'm just like,
And a weapons rack.
it's so cool. It's so, and just looking at them is cool. Like I really want to put weapons on the other side of the board and have like swords and stuff and have an armory kind of like
We
side
can
by side.
encourage a collection. It's, you know.
I'm the same with dice. Like I will encourage you to spend money on dice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think you guys have done so well for a year.
Yeah. But I think it's also finding niches in a niche hobby.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've really enjoyed, because I love playing wizards. D&D, I'll always play a wizard.
Yep.
Until I don't play a wizard, and then I'll regret every moment of not playing a wizard.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get on board with that. I love a wizard and a support class.
And I was like, right, I'm going to make wizard's hats.
That's his new thing. He loves making the hats.
That's awesome. So, actually, do you not only do, like, in terms of the props and costumes, do you, like, do all the sewing as well? Do you both take part in, because I know that you do a lot of the social media and you do a lot of, like, the behind the scenes.
I just do behind the scenes mainly.
Yeah.
To be fair, Ian is like, 99%. I'll go up and help and advise, and, sometimes I'm allowed to cut things out.
Yeah. Which thinks I'm going too slowly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because actually, I think that that's also a stereotype that we can punch past a little bit here is men sewing.
Absolutely.
Because we don't see that, and I think that's actually probably one side of the hobby that actually probably isn't promoted enough, is that gender stereotype of women sew and do the kind of costume things, and actually men don't, and we probably make the props and do all the smashing, but actually you literally do it all.
Yeah.
He does the whole bit,
Which is incredible.
But again, that came
Part
from
of the gender stereotype. My mum did teach me to sew.
But that was to make costumes. That was like we take the weapons apart. It was like, actually, I want this costume.
Yeah.
And then getting some fabric and making it, and that's
So
through necessity.
Where would you suggest for somebody who wants to get into sewing and with costumes? Where would you suggest them to start? With needle and thread, or
yeah. Well, I started making it extremely manly with and me and a mate of mine, we joke, we just used to use glue and rivets. It's never sewed anything. It's glue and rivets. Fabric, glue and rivets. Metal, glue and rivets. But YouTube is amazing. I still go on there and have a look at tutorials and stuff, and how other ways of sewing that I wouldn't necessarily think of myself.
So did you find that you started off, obviously, needle and thread, rivets and glue, needle and thread, and then did you go, well, now I'm going to treat myself to a sewing machine or to an overlocker?
Well, I treated Sam to a sewing machine, promptly never used it. And
treated you to a sewing machine. Babe, I got you this.
That's exactly what it was.
And then but it was pink.
Yeah, it justifies it.
Yeah.
It's definitely
it
yours.
was just a little hobby sewing machine initially, wasn't it?
And then I treated to an upgraded one.
Yeah.
That only I use. It's YouTube.
I think it's a constant learning progress. Yeah. So, I mean, even with weapons making, you're always looking at how other people are doing it, what they're painting it with, what are they doing. With the sewing, I mean, he's teaching me to do more bits, or we're always looking up different things. I was getting lots of advice from your wife last time we were up.
And I'm incredible. Sure she's the better one of us.
And I'm sure
you sat here with me, but she's better.
I would tap into that again, and I think that's it. It's asking other people for advice. I mean, your mum's given us advice before as well, but I think it's knowing that your journey hasn't stopped because we've turned it into a business.
Yeah.
It's a constant learning curve, and with what we're making, with how we're marketing it. I mean, on the way up here, we were like, right, so our next event's an indoor event with the tables. We don't really know what space we've got.
Yeah.
We know how we set up our outdoor events in our gazebos.
Yeah.
Because we've got all the space, and we know what we can take, and so we want to. And that's another thing. How are we going to display it? It's got to look the part.
Yeah. And especially with the events that we've been at together, where it's a vast different amount of people. It's not just LARPers. It's like
it's
dice makers, it's crochet makers, it's pattern makers, it's local shops like Happy Piranha and Game on Cornwall. So it's like such a wide array. So how do you take your aesthetic and put it into one place? And you guys do this amazing where you have the gazebo and you're like, okay, well, inside, this is our world.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And that's it. So inside we can make it look like...
Just what you imagine it, we like to think trying to make it as medieval as possible.
Yeah, and you do.
And that's kind of the aim, isn't it?
There's always little bits where you could do it, but it would cost far too much money.
Yeah.
So how mobile is it?
Yeah, we're not like living history. We're LARPers, so we've got some leeway.
Yeah.
Like a magazine rack covered with fabric, that's fine.
Yeah. But it works, and this is the thing. It's for anybody who hasn't seen Yew Wots guys at an event, and especially if you're here in Cornwall. I think you guys are going to be at Falmouth Comic Movie Festival this year.
Yep.
I think we're going to try and be there as well. The next Roll the Dice in August.
Possibly.
Yeah, I won't dive too far into if you've got other events
we've got
away.
2 events, that one and another one, and they're supposed to be getting back to us. And
Same.
So it's a difficult thing, yeah.
But if you can get to things like those events, and just keep an eye out for...
there you go.
It's all right. Mine lives on silent now. But if you can get to those events, you will get to see the kind of things that these guys do and the aesthetic that they build around yourselves as a brand.
Yeah.
And the fact that you walk into the gazebo and you are literally going into medieval
you walk
armory.
in and we've got weapons set
awesome.
out on a little weapons rack that we take, and people are encouraged to pick them up, have a feel. If you want to try on one of the jackets or try on a wizard's hat.
Yeah, it's so amazing, and the fact that you have really thought about every aspect of not only how do we sell this, but how do we, instead of just having a table, a 6x3, and going weapons. £60, £70, You've literally, the passion shows through right the way through to how you display things and how you thought about that. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing.
And that's still evolving as well, as I said. It's okay. What will work in this space, or how can we do better?
Covering ivy is
lots of ivy. Yes,
it's pot plants and ivory, and it's. I just think you guys have done so well. It's incredible. I suppose we should really move to the future of Yew Wots and look to closing down this interview. And what's the dream? What's, if you could wave a magic wand and essentially be like, where do you see yourselves and where do you want to be with Yew Wots? What's the passion trying to get you to?
To be able to earn a living.
Yeah, that helps.
I suppose, long term, it would be actually have employees that you're making it on, not mass produced, but on a decent scale.
Passing on the knowledge,
have people actually say, "Oh, have you got one of Yew Wots swords?"
That's cool, and get brand recognition.
I think that would be the thing, getting brand recognition. Someone going out and go, "Oh, I've got one of those. Oh, I like that," and. That would be the thing. Get into some of the bigger events, and it's lovely. We go to our local event, Kelsgate. Again, we end up with their local maker. They're mostly our friends, so quite often everyone will be going round, and you all sit there and go, "I made that one, made that one, made that one," and that's really nice.
Good.
So I think
feel very a lot of pride in that as well when you're seeing people are
I think so. Yeah, and going back to the imposter syndrome that you say, it'll be like, I don't know why do people want it? And I worry, what if they don't like it?
Yeah.
And then we'll go to an event and everyone's loving it.
I think that's the hardest bit with any art form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there's always going to be people better than you.
Yep.
There's always going to be people worse than you.
Yep.
And generally with your social medias, you'll see the best of the best.
Yeah.
And it's something to aspire to, and that's the thing to remember. I'd like to be that good. I don't want to sink 300 hours into it because it would never sell.
Yeah.
But
that's very hard to get past, that social media.
How... Because
put yourself to somebody else as well.
There's a couple of people that I follow, and it's a guy in Poland, I think it is, and he makes armour, very Witcher style.
Wow. And
it's all engraved, etched and everything, and it's beautiful. And that's something I aspire to.
That'd be cool. Very, very cool.
Really expensive.
I bet.
But worth every penny.
This is where we next find you with a hammer and an anvil and a forge in the back garden.
He's already started. He has made armour at home.
Oh, amazing.
He has made some armour, but then that's without all the tools and this, so to know what you'd be able to do if you did have that. Maybe one day.
Yeah.
You know, you can have that as an aspiration.
Could be a dream.
One day, you never know.
A smithy at the bottom of the garden.
Yeah.
That'd be incredible.
That'd be good.
To which end, then, we are actually going to close out this interview. Sam and Ian, thank you so much for coming along and for chatting to me today and for just showing, hopefully, people out there the passion that you have for what you do. Where can people find Yew Wots?
Facebook, Yew Wots Staffs and Staffs. Instagram is just Yew Wots. And the website is yewwots.com.
Amazing.
Or come and see us down in Game On. It's stocked there. If you drop us a message, we can try and meet you there.
Yeah.
You know, we're always up for meeting new people that are interested. And
and any Larp events that want a trader, doesn't matter how small they are,
reach out.
Then more than happy to come along.
Amazing. I will make sure that those links go into descriptions below for anybody who is watching this. Thank you so much to you guys for coming along today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's been lovely.
Absolute pleasure. I always enjoy hanging out with you guys. You are genuinely lovely human beings, and it's my absolute pleasure to have you here today. For you guys out there, I don't know if you're lovely people. Hopefully you are. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this interview. Please check out Yew Wots. Please check out all their social medias. Please check out their web store. If you're into LARP or if you're looking for a commission, please, again, check them out. If you're hosting an event or if you're thinking of hosting an event, again, please come have a look, come check them out. But thank you so much, and may the dice gods be ever in your favour. See you later, guys.